Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Small and Rural Libraries Forums, the Meetup on Standards on this cold winter afternoon. We are joined today by Betsy Adamowski, Executive Director of the Wheaton Public Library. She is a former ILA president and also the current chair of the Serving Our Public Committee, which is working on the standards for version 5.0. So I'm going to pass it along to Betsy.
Thank you, Kristen. Hi, everybody. I always wish so badly I could see everybody's faces, and I was standing in front of you because those of you who know me know that I love people. So with that, I welcome you all. Happy New Year. I don't know about you, but crazy has already come into my year, and the full moon is out there every single day. But we're going to get through this, and we're going to stay strong. So for those of you who do not know me, I am Betsy Adamowski. I am the executive director, as Kristen said, of the Wheaton Public Library, and very much a diehard ILA advocate. Just really love everything about ILA and the work that we're doing. I wanted to start out with, besides the welcome, yes, Kristen, just put in the chat, you should have received a flyer. I did use this flyer at the Illinois Library Association. So if you have that one, and I also used it at another presentation that I did with another group. But there have been changes. As life throws our way, sometimes you are going one direction and then all of a sudden you're like, whoops, I think we need to make a little change. So I'm going to explain some of those changes to you. So there are a few little different things if you did hear me at ILA. I would like to just kind of go back and say, why me? Why am I doing this? Who am I, and how am I qualified to be running this very, very, very important project? As Kristen said, I am past president of the Illinois Library Association. I have also been working on standards. Oh my gosh, for the last three versions. This is my first time flying solo as the chair. So I really feel quite excited about that. This is probably going to be my last big project. And because I've been around a long time, somebody else needs to take it over. But with that being said, Serving Our Public 5.0 is an incredibly important project. It affects every one of us in different ways. And I'm hoping that after today's presentation, you will learn to not be afraid of it, learn how to incorporate it into your professional life, and also and get some insight on the value of it and how it can work for you. So as always, I like to go to the past to look at the present and see how we can move into the future. Serving Our Public actually started out in 1971. It started out as the measures of quality. So for those of you who've been around for a long time, you may remember measures of quality. I do not, because in 1971, I was, 7 years old. So I don't believe anybody here, but you may have it in your collection somewhere. In 1982, I do remember this. It was called Avenues of Excellence. And that Avenues of Excellence document served us well until 1995, when the name was changed to Serving Our Public. The documentation of the Serving Our Public has always resided under the Illinois Library Association's domain. And believe it or not, it's actually in the Illinois statutes. It is a requirement in Illinois that we have standards and they are produced. So the Illinois Library Association always runs this, and they have since 1971. I wanted to just kind of also explain that back in the 1995 edition, it was the standards is not a document to give comfort, but it is a document to give a path. And sometimes it's a difficult path. The last document, the last edition 4.0 said all residents, it's also stated in the statutes as well as the administrative rules that all residents in Illinois are entitled to high quality library service that is gracious, friendly, effective, and efficient to meet their needs. And this is what upholds the standards. So as we write the standards, we have these ideals in our minds. The 5.0, to get into the reality of a changing society, the Serving Our Public 5.0 is intended to inspire discussion, evaluation, planning, and action by librarians, library staff, and library board members. It is not meant to stand on itself. Rather, it is intended to enhance local planning efforts crafted to identify service goals that will allow public libraries to respond to unique interests and opportunities in its community while achieving a consistent standard of public library offerings throughout the state. I think that those things are important for you to understand as we move forward, so that you understand what the role of the standards are. It is not a mandate. It is not a mandate. It is not something that is, thank you, Kristen. I forgot I had a PowerPoint. It is not meant to stand by itself. And most importantly, as you will see in the 5.0, it is not only for the library director. And it is not a tool, again, I can't say this enough, for you to be afraid of. You can go to the next slide if you want. Okay, so when I have been speaking about the standards, in the last year, as well as the years past, so I've been doing this project for many, many years, that seems to be a consistent theme with the standards when I talk to lots of libraries, is they think it's a negative document. It's a document that it just doesn't, I want you all to just stop, take a breath, and embrace the standards as a tool that you can use for strategic planning. It's a tool that you can use to advocate for your library. So what are the goals of Serving Our Public? So the goals of the Serving Our Public is that we want to promote quality public library service at all communities. An example, in the Wheaton Public Library, we were only open Sundays during, from September through May. And I use the standards as my tool to fight for Sundays all year round. So, and I pulled the standard that said that the excellence part of having hours, 7 days a week, full day, every day, was something the city of Wheaton should have. So again, it's there for you to say, hey, we're here and we can be better, and this is what we can do, and use the standards to back you up. The goal of the standards is also to inform our community users about what they can expect from their public library. They expect that it will be lit, there will be parking. They expect that I will be ADA accessible. They expect that you will have books and materials. You will have a collection policy. So the standards kind of let our community know that these are standards that are held in high regard, and we will make sure that we get them done to give you the service that you deserve. It is a goal that the standards will assist the public library staff in connecting with the communities that they serve. It is a goal of the standards that they will provide it will be an authoritative document to which public library administrators and supporters may refer to when justifying requests for funds, just as I stated for my hours for Sunday. And I know some of us are also using it for the fine-free. They're using it for a larger space. They're using it for to get more computers in the library, into their library. And the last goal is that it is to assist public library leaders in planning, administration, and professional development. the next time that the Wheaton Public does their strategic planning, which will be the end of next year, actually 2026, I am going to make it a strategic priority that the Wheaton Public Library will strive to meet all of the advanced standards, and I will post the ones that we need to work on, because we have a lot of standards that we are not meeting. So I plan to do that this time. I never have done that. I never really thought to do that, but this time I'm using the standards in my strategic plan. All right, next thing. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So as we go along, please know that you can throw some questions at me in the chat, but you might want to wait till the end, because I am going to be hitting on some things now as we move forward. So what is the 5.0 edition? The 5.0 edition for the standards is going to be free for everyone. To answer John's question, yes, what is going to happen is the Illinois Library Association tasked the committee that I'm currently working with to, number one, not be a published book. We are going to put it online. It will be sitting at the Illinois Library Association website. It will be so anybody can use it, and you do not need to be an ILA member. So this is going to be a document for all of us, and it'll be free. So that's a good thing. The change that you are going to see when you open it up, when you get to the ILA website, which is not there yet, we're still working on it, you will see that the standards are now in a table format. We receive many complaints from the last few editions that the book just was so repetitive. It was the same thing. And I have to say, even when I went back and was like really dissecting it, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. This is so bad. But you know, we did the best we could. We were volunteers, but now I really think the 5.0 edition is going to be so much better because we've streamlined it. It will be in a table, which would be really nice. You will see the core standard, which is the basic standard. So a public library will be open a minimum of 15 hours a week. That would be the minimum core standard, and we would pull that, you know, from the statutes or from the administrative code, which I'll explain in a minute. So we made that the basic, and then the next column in this table will be intermediate. And intermediate, maybe you will be open 5 days a week. And then the advanced will be 7 days a week, all year round. So you have the core. So if you've done the core, you're good. But now as you grow your library, you may want to add funding to maybe add 5 hours or add, another day. And then, you know, that you're going to show progress on how you do that. And the standards are, you're okay, you've met the core. We're gonna put it in our strategic plan to open another day, you know, in that. So that is that is how the tables will fit. So it'll be a core, which is your basic, and then you have your intermediate, which you can grow to, and then you have the advanced. And I will tell you, the Wheaton Public Library does not meet a lot of the advanced. We are not. I don't have a makerspace. There's lots of things I don't have that some of these other bigger libraries do. So people assume we have it all, and we don't. So that's why I think it's time I put that into the strategic plan and let my city council know, hey, we're not there. What can we do to get there? I love the table. It simplifies it and makes it really easy to pinpoint, and then it makes it easier for you to reference and to grow your library with. Each section will have a method for libraries to document their progress. So you will have an action plan for each section. And it will have, all of these standards, in one column. And then it will have your, need to work on, whatever. And then it will have a place for you to type in some notes. Not going to worry about this, but yeah, I want to work on this for next year. I want to put this in so you can have some notes in how you can progress. And that's a tool that you can certainly use with your staff or your board to kind of keep you within a little bit of a framework as you work to grow your library. That's an exciting thing that I'm looking forward to being able to use. And also, it's a great tool if you do use it, because then some of you may leave to go to another library, or you may retire. Now you've left notes for your person that's going to be coming into your position, so they know what was discussed, or what you're planning to work on. So I think that's a tool that we can probably do some ILA conference programs on to kind of work on how we can make that happen. Each section will have appendices that will include examples and explanations of the standards. We will make sure that you have an outline of all the items you should have in a board packet. We will have examples of different policies that we mention. We will have bibliographies for you to find links and that, so that you can continue to learn in some of these things. I think the appendices will be really nice, especially since it's online. We will be able to update it and also remove, things. So now I discovered, we were working on the records retention appendix, and I was not aware that our Secretary of State, Alexi, has developed a handbook on records retention for us to use. I didn't even know that was available. I just discovered that on last Saturday. So yeah, I know, Jessica. So I'm like, oh my gosh. So we put that I put that in the appendices as a reference. So as we discover these things, we'll be able to keep it up to date. And also all of us in the library community will be able to help with that. If you find something or discover something, you will be able to, there will be a place for you to say, hey, I have this, or I did this. We can add, would this be worthy of adding to the section? Because you just never know. And all of us have a wealth of knowledge that we want to share. The entire edition will be downloadable. So there will be an actual button that you can press, and you can download every section and then there is another button for you to, obviously download the appendices, which I think will be really nice as well. We have added for the first time a finance section. I cannot believe all the years that we have done this. We never had a finance section. And so that was Kathy Parker. For those of you who know Kathy Parker, she really worked hard on this. And so we will finally have some standards. For example, like you should have a general fund policy. You should have maybe an investment policy. So the core will be the basic, so don't panic, and then the intermediate, and then the advanced. So it's going to be interesting. So that is actually one of our last sections that we are getting it together. So anyway, so yay for the finance section. We have added an advocacy and community engagement section, which I am very excited about, because those of you who know me know that advocacy has always been my platform. It has been my platform when I was the president of ILA, and I also was the author for the Ready Set Advocate. So we will be, we have added this because we think it's important for our libraries to have standards for how they are working within their community to advocate for their library. And other agencies within the community, how you can partner up and work together. So we're excited about that section. That's a new section. The section that we took away was the youth services. And again, for those of you who remember, I got that section in the book the last time, and I worked hard to do that. But when we realized that today in 2024, a lot of us libraries, some of us don't have a youth department and an adult department and a teen department. We just have one department that's doing everything. We have public services. So what we did was in all of our sections, where it was appropriate, like programming and information services, we made sure that we always said for all ages. And where it was necessary, we would reference, children/teens. So we felt that a lot of us do reading programs. When I was a children's librarian, we only did a reading program for the children. Well, now we're doing reading programs for all ages. So we felt that there was a lot of redundancy with the youth services and some of the adult services. So we made it, put it all together. And we also did not put in a DEI section. And I know that for some of you, that's like, yay. And for some of you, it's like, oh my God, we have to have a DEI section. So we were we wanted to be very respectful to all of our libraries within the state. And what we did instead is we are doing the DEI, the diversity, equity, and inclusion within all of the sections. And so you will see that we've added words like equity, we've added words for, having a diverse or multi-language, or you will see that we've kind of incorporated it in with the entire document. So I'm really excited about that. I think that was a good move on the committee and our decision to do that. Next chapter. Okay, so these are what the sections will be for those of you who heard me in ILA or when I spoke to the Tri-County group. You remember that I said that we removed the technology chapter. We put the technology chapter back in. And we felt that we were not ready yet to remove it totally. There are still libraries that are struggling to get the proper technology that their library deserves. And so we decided to leave it in for another round. So the sections will be access. And access is obviously the access to your building. So you're having a safe parking lot, make sure it's well lit, making sure that you have your address on your building, making sure that all your furniture is,
Do you need anything? Sorry,
that can be, this right height. So advocacy and community engagement, I already spoke to you about. Building and construction and maintenance is self-explanatory. Collection management. This one we took a lot of time with. I will tell you that for this one, we know that there was always a standard in there that said that up to 12% of your budget should be used for collection. And we left that in. We were going to take it out, but we left it in. And we are going to ask the Illinois Library Association Executive Board to task a special focus group to review that. We just didn't feel that we had enough. It was above our pay grade to remove it, to make it simple. So we left that in there. Finance we talked about, we're very excited about that. Government and administration is staying in there. Oh, we added human resources. Oh, I should fix my PowerPoint. We added human resources. We never had a human resources section. And so the HR section is obviously talk a lot about personnel. The employee manual, and other types of HR topics that we feel are important. If you are going to be hiring a staff and paying them with taxpayers' money, you better have some standards in place for how you do that. So that section's in there. Information services kind of brings together reference and reader's advisory into one section. And so that one is going to be, has a little bit different title, but all of those services that we provide are in that section. Marketing and promotion is again self-explanatory. Obviously we got social media now. We have to have policies for that. We have to have policies for bulletin boards, policies for library displays, and things like that. So that section covers that with some good examples. Programming, again, like I said, it kind of brings adult and youth together, teen, youth, and adult together, seniors. And so that's a nice section. Safety and emergency was a big one for us this time around. We've had some libraries that were impacted with active shooters. We've had libraries that have been impacted with bombs. We've had libraries that have been impacted with protests. We have libraries that have been impacted with things that we never thought of when we did the last edition, but now it's an actual reality. So this section got a little bit of some tweaking in making sure that we hit all points on foreseeing some of what the world is today. And then, of course, this technology. So a lot of sections. Now I want to explain to you that the committee is made up of librarians from around the state. Each committee member was assigned a section, and then those committee members that were in their section were allowed to use experts from the field to come in and kind of help to define some of what needed. So Kathy Parker used Jamie Laughlin for her finance section. I reached out to Rails and used their attorney a couple times. So just know that we did make this as authoritative as we possibly could. We are reaching out to an architectural firm to kind of give a little peek at the building infrastructure. So that's going on right now. It's going to be, I think, a really good document when we're done. All right, Kristen, you can go on to the next one. Okay, so this kind of gives you an example of what the chart looks like. Now, I mean, please do not take a picture of this chart or anything. I mean, you can if you want to, but it's probably been changed because every time we come together as a committee, we keep editing it and editing it and editing it and cutting it and cutting it. So you can kind of see that, this core standard, all basic information services are available when the library is open. All right. Because some people might not. But you as a core, you should. If library intermediate, if the library provides additional information services offerings such as notary, passports, then you have the trained staff available to do that. I do not do passports because I don't have the staff to do it, but I do notary. And I know there are other libraries that do passports because they make that because it's a moneymaker for them. I just don't have that ability. And then we did not see any need to have an advanced. So some will not have an advanced. Here's the staff provide accurate, timely, and courteous service. We felt there was no intermediate advanced for that. It's the core. The core is you will be friendly and courteous. We can't do anything more with that. So you can kind of see how this is going to be laid out. And I'm looking and I saw a question. Okay, hold on a second. All right, good. All right, good, Lynn. Thank you. Yeah, it's I think you're gonna enjoy seeing that those are done. And yes, John, the whole collection percentage was a challenge for because we realized that everybody's counting their collections differently. And as we all know with IPLAR, which is that in itself is but we definitely think a special focus group needs to tackle that so that we can have some guidance on it. I will be honest with you, I think we only spend about 7% of our budget on collection. So even saying 8%, it was like, no, because we were putting our money, moving our money more into programming, moving more of our money into technology. So that 8 to 12% was not working for the Wheaton Public Library. So, and we did what we did with that. So you know that we didn't just use the Wheaton Public Library. We did a little survey and we we just picked like 8 or 10 libraries to see what their percentages were. And we found that it was all over the map. So that 8 to 12, maybe not such a great idea, but we need a special group to come up with an answer to that. It just wasn't the charge of this committee. All right, the next screen. Okay. So what's the tentative you know, where are we going with this? What's going to happen? As we all know right now, all of your per capita grants are due. So if you haven't been working on them, you better get going. But we are hoping that the 5.0 will be ready for the next per capita round of per capita grant. That's one of our goals. But right now, the committee is at the point where I have been appointing test readers for each section. And I know there's some of you, I'm looking at your names here. There are some of you that I did reach out to. I worked hard to try to get 4 test readers for each section, 2 from Rails and 2 from Heartland. I wanted to make sure that it was around the state. A lot of the test readers I've never met. I don't know who they are. They were recommended to me by other people who I did know. I wanted to make sure that it was as inclusive as possible. And I wanted to make sure that I got the smallest library to the largest library, because the standards are for everyone. And that is a challenge. It is definitely a challenge. We want to make sure that the standards can be met comfortably and proudly with the smallest library, but also be as challenging for a larger library. I'm hoping that February 1st, we will have the rough draft finished. And then April through May, we will do some final touches. And then, of course, it has to go to the Illinois Library Association Board of Directors for approval. And then the launch date will be determined. Because then we have to upload everything to the ILA website. And we have to make sure that it is, you know, that it can work. So I have been working with the Illinois Library Association staff to start, you know, kind of thinking about how we're going to make this work. How is it gonna be? And so that has been going on. So I know right now my goal is to get, not this week, but probably next week, start shipping out some of the sections to our test readers and start getting them. I want them to look at it, and then I want them to say, yeah, this works, or no, this works. This is dumb, or this just is, you know, you got some mistakes. You know what I mean? I don't know, because we as a committee have looked at it so much that it's just like we're not even seeing it anymore. So I'm hoping that the test readers, so all together, I mean, it's a lot of test readers that we're going to be getting this out to. So in the end of the day, this 5.0 will truly be a statewide project with as many stakeholders as we can possibly have be involved. We have 3 trustees who want to also be a part of this. So we're going to wait till we get it all the way to the end. And then we're going to share it with them. And as a trustee, we'll let them look at it to say, yes, I get this. And, or no, it's still, you know what I mean? And then we can continue to finesse it and tweak it. All right, next slide. I think that might be the end. Okay, so the last slide is the committee. You may know some of these people. You can certainly reach out to these people if you have questions. They know how to answer them, but you can always email me. I am happy to Zoom in with your groups. I know some of you have like little regional groups. And I can't drive to every one of them, but I can certainly, if it's close to my proximity, I will go an hour. But over an hour, I will go to Zoom. So if you feel like you want me to come speak to your group, I certainly will do that. And trustee training is, yes, so trustee training is in, I believe, the governance and administration section. So we will have some core, intermediate, and advanced for trustee training. We really tried hard in the finance section to make it as clear as possible that it's not the role of the trustee, it's the role of the administrator, the library director. We also really tried hard, like in the technology section, some of the smaller libraries, you don't have the funds to hire somebody. So my God, if one of the staff person's son can come in and do something, that's great. That's a core. Just have somebody make sure that your computers have the security software and so on it to keep it safe. Who does it? Yay. Like I said, if it's somebody's kid or somebody's grandson, so be it. But in the intermediate, you can see we say a dedicated staff person, and then in the advanced, you will see we say to outsource, to have somebody come in from the outside to do, or to have some special contracts for some of the technology. So we really, really tried hard to bring it so that it is doable for some of the libraries that have a small budget and want to put their money in a different place. So that is my presentation. I don't know, Kristen, are we able to go to a galleries look without the and stop sharing, or okay. All righty. So
absolutely. If anybody wants to jump on camera, have conversation, ask questions, everybody can unmute.
Yeah, you certainly can. I would love to see your faces. Lynn, one more point. I want to make sure that you all understand that the per capita grant will still point to the standards moving forward. And I want you all to understand that my intention is to have with the committee, some of the committee members, is to start doing some more training on how to answer those per capita. It's like, it shouldn't take you a long time to do the per capita grant if you get it set up right. So I just wanted to touch on that. We do know that that's a big part of the standards, is sometimes that's the only time you look at the standards is for the per capita grant, which is unfortunate. Lynn, you had a question.
The grid that you showed us with the standards, is that where it'll be able to be where we can add our notes of the progress we've made? Because the one that I made had the standard, and then it had columns of if we met it, how, and then I color coded it. Maybe we're in process and it's yellow, not green yet. How will that work?
So the way that my intention is to do it is to create a chart for the core. So I'll have all the core standards in one column. Then I'll have a column for MET, and then I'll have a column for the notes, you know what I mean? And then there'll be another chart for the intermediate, and then another chart for the advanced.
Not all on one. Okay,
yeah,
good.
Yeah. So we'll see. And again, that could be a work in progress. So the Illinois Library Association will, of course, in the next couple of years, appoint another committee to review the 5.0 and to fix it, because that's the beauty of it. We can always make it better. Is there anybody else with a question? I'm here.
Betsy, there's a question in the chat from Kathleen about refraining from using the 4.0 edition until the 5.0 edition is available. Like, should they hold off on things?
Always use the 4.0, because right now there is no such thing as a 5.0 because it hasn't been approved by the ILA board. So right now the only real document is the 4.0. So you only use the 4.0 until we give you the green light to do the 5.0.
Hi, Betsy. This is Donna Shaw. How are you?
Donna's going to be one of our test readers. Yay, Donna.
Well, thank you. First of all, I just want to say thank you to the committee for working on this, because the standards are really important and they should be reviewed all the time. I think as a small public library, would it ever be under consideration to actually break them apart and say this one is 5.0 for small publics and this one's medium and this one's for the larger ones? There are some standards in there that there is no way I will ever be able to make. And when I talk to my board about them, they're kind of sad about it, because they see, wow, that larger library is doing that. But what I feel the state library is really missing out on our per capita grant is we don't get to applaud our successes. So there's no way in that per capita. I mean, you can say it, but you're not really answering their question. They're going, well, how are you working towards fixing whatever it is you can't fix? And a lot of my comment is we don't have the money. We just don't have the money. It's not that we don't care or that we don't want to fix it. We just don't have the money. So I wish there was a way, there was a standard for sections that was just aimed at 10,000 and under, or something,
Donna, we talked about that. It is almost impossible, to do.
Yeah.
But I will promise you when you see, because you'll be test reading, I don't know, I can't remember which section, but
You said
you will-
technology.
Okay, you will see that I think we addressed it and how we did the core.
Okay.
So the core, so remember in the 4.0, you had the first section, which was the core standards. We're not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
That's gone.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you know what I mean? It's like we did break out a lot of them, and I really think, and we had some small libraries on our committee that we kept saying, "Is this doable? Is this doable?" And they're like, "Yes, yes."
Okay. Good.
So I think you guys will be pleased
Okay.
with it. I really do. I think you will be pleased, and I'm hoping that the large libraries are pleased with the intermediate and the advanced. And I think they're going to be surprised when they see that they're not meeting some of it. So, but I really, really do think you will be pleased with the
Okay.
core column. And I don't want anyone to think that the core column is like, you know what I mean, is so watered down. It's not, because we understand a library who can only be open 15 hours a week may only have a budget of 2,000.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the bottom line is that every section has like a little introductory paragraph. And that's what I think you want you guys to highlight, because if you're doing story time and you're doing a book discussion for an adult group and you are, you're open 15 hours a week and your parking lot has a light and you have the address on your building, you are doing awesome. You know what I mean? And so that core is really important. And sometimes libraries may have to go down, like all of a sudden you have, I don't know, there's like a fire or something with the roof and we have to go down and we have to go into a storefront. We may have to go back and I may have to run, and we're only going to be open 15 hours, but that's good. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
So
I do know.
I think you'll be pleased.
Okay, good. And I just think that I don't know if the state realizes that it is a lot to do the entire book. I'm just going to say that because every small public is thinking it. It takes me 3 board meetings to get through that, if I'm actually truly discussing it. And a lot of times it's like, and their big thing is they are volunteering their time. They get no money. And they run for election. They have to do all the documentation. And yet there's a standard that says, oh, but you better be volunteering statewide and nationally. And that, I mean, you know what I mean? And it's like, and so they feel bad that they're not doing enough, but they support me. And they're a great group of people. So I hope that this works out. And I know you guys have put in so much time. So thank you from the small publics. I guess I'll say generally, thank you.
No,
Thank you
I
for
totally,
helping.
no, absolutely, Donna. And I think that once this is all done, I want to have a plan to have a talk with the Illinois State Library to bring in some of the conversations that I have been hearing from some of you. I mean, some of you have cried, literally cried. I get it. And so we need to have a better guideline on that per capita grant. And I think we need to have a better education on it. And it is, it's not supposed to be a threatening thing. It should be a positive thing. And somehow we have to turn that conversation around. So
Because I would love to brag about the things we've done well, because
you
we have done
should.
some things really well. And I usually stick it in there anyway, but I don't even know if they're really, reading that or appreciating that. So, yeah.
We're gonna find
So,
out. I'm gonna find
it'll be
out. Yeah, we're
interesting.
gonna work. Maybe that'll be my swan song. I don't know.
Maybe. It's always good to see you, Betsy.
Thanks, Donna. Okay, Lynn or
I-
John, one of you two.
I agree with Donna. It's very hard. You can say these are the goals that you want to meet in the next year, but I mean, it's me and a team of very part-time people. So when something else comes up, you have to drop what your goals were, or you have an opportunity now for something, so you're going to spend time with that. And it's hard.
It's
You're
hard.
small.
Yeah, I get it. I absolutely get it. All right, I'm hoping I can maybe help with that. We'll see. John.
I'm saying the same thing as these guys, basically, that as a library that takes our seriously, that whole reviewing the standards as part of the per capita grant requirements. I like it being there because the standards become a very helpful thing for my board. At the same time, years ago, you used to have one chapter or two chapters that you did each year, and we did a much better job reviewing those areas. We went much more in depth, and now it has to be cursory because you just only have so much board meeting time.
Yeah.
And to get through 14 chapters in 2 or 3, I schedule 3. We can sometimes do it in 2 meetings to do it. It means that we're not spending as much time doing it well. So I just think it would be, I appreciate what they've said, what their goal is, but I think the goal was being met better when we were asked to do a couple of sections a year rather than trying to do the whole thing.
Yeah. That's a good point, John. I will tell you how I do it. I actually have, it's just 2 pages. I have each section, and then I just do a little, the Wheaton Public Library is in compliance with the standards. However, is going to be working on, like, we had to do an ADA facility study because the city made us do it. An ADA facility study. We have to replace the light in the flag, and then it's like 2 sentences, you know what I mean? And then I just give that to my board in my board packet, and I explain what the per capita grant is, and I ask them if they have any questions on anything I type. That's it. Just took 10 minutes. I don't go over every single section with them. So I'm just letting you know that's how I do it, and it seems to be okay with the state, that they're aware of it. They see a whole broken down of each thing. I'll be happy to share that with anybody. If you want to email me, I can share it with you. That seems to be okay. And I want to be out in 45 minutes to an hour with my board meetings.
Yeah.
They're there to do policy, budget, and you know what I mean?
Did you keep the checklist, the little boxes with the checklist? Is that
you know
still in the
what,
standards?
I do refer to those and kind of look, but
Yeah.
and then I just have like a few, and then I expand on it. I like the ATA facility study is not on the checklist, but that falls into access.
Yeah. Well, I was just curious because I use the checklist a lot. Actually, that was the part I did like.
Good, yeah.
And then I kind of did hey, pink, I highlighted them in pink. We do these, ignore that. And blue, we sort of kind of do them. And yellow, we don't really do them at all. And we have no money. So, anybody wants to give me any money, I'd happily take it. So.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where, you can seek money. The Lions Club always gives me money for the large print collection. Boom, check. I put, you know what I mean?
That's
So
nice.
I kind of acknowledge, that the Rotary Club gave us some money for little baby book bags. So you know what I mean? So you can get creative. And I really think what it is a good solid programs on Zoom or at ILA to kind of explain how you can get out of the box a little bit. Kathy Grafton she's somewhere on this, but I was at her library to talk to her group, and she was going, I don't know for the building thing, and I'm like, well, let's take a look at your building. And we walked around the building and I go, well, the number one thing is you have the address on your building. This branch is hiding the name of your library. And I go, do those 2 things and bang, you can add that to your per capita grant. And she's like, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? So it could be as simple as that, or filling the potholes, right? You know, you funded money to fill the 10 potholes that you have. So just some ideas that I have used that have seemed to work. Anything, are there any other questions? Let me see.
There's a question from Esther about perhaps per capita could be spread out over 2 years.
Mhm. That is, you know, the per capita grant is funded through a federal grant. So there are unfortunately stipulations that the Illinois State Library has to follow in order to do that. It's been a long time since I've been involved in Illinois State Library, but I do remember the one time where some of the ISLAMA money that comes through that funds this fund, some states use it to fund their state library. And Illinois uses it to fund their public libraries. And in order for them to do that, they have those grant requirements that you have to follow. If anybody's written a grant, you know there's those requirements. And that's why that question is, how are you going to use the money? And you have to make sure that it's, you know, X, Y, Z. They don't make that up. That's a requirement of the grant. So to break it out into two may not be possible. But I think that I think if we talk to them, yay, Kathy's got the number now. If we talk to, I will talk to them and to see, I just don't know. I just want them to hear what I am hearing and because I almost fell off my chair when I got the memo that we had to do all the sections. I was like, what? Are you nuts? But now that I've done it, it's so easy and it's working, you know what I mean? But getting there, yeah, was not easy. So I can imagine for a smaller library, it's very difficult. We don't want it to be, I want them to understand that we don't want to have barriers here. Like we want to make it as equitable as possible. And so anyway, so just give me time. I got 3 more years before I retire, so give me time. I'm working on it. Kathy, I'm glad that you did that. You know what? It was something that you probably didn't even think of, but it takes somebody to, you know what I mean? So I think I have to draft something for that. I'll figure it out. Is there any other questions? We have 7 minutes left. All right. And they trimmed the branches too. Good, Kath. So so since I have 7 minutes, the story was I went to her library and I'm driving and I went past, next thing you know, and I'm parked in this building. I thought it was a library. So I get out and I'm looking, I'm like, oh my God, I'm at the school. So then I go back, I couldn't find a library because there was a branch that was hiding the name of her library, the O'Donnell Library. And I'm like, you got to cut that branch down because I couldn't find it, So anyway, so we were laughing. She's probably laughing right now, but anyway, beautiful library. Loved it. Anything else, you guys? All right. Well, you know how to find me. Please email me any questions that you might have as we move this along. The test readers in the group are, we absolutely, I'm so thankful for you. Know that once it gets out to the whole community, you are always a test reader. So as you're using this and you see something, let us know so that we can fix it. So Kristen, I don't know if there's anything else.
I think we're good to wrap it up. Betsy, thank you so much for your time today. I learned things I didn't even know, and I work for ILA, so shame on me, but also this was really, really helpful. I think that the small and rural libraries have a very unique perspective, and it was great to just talk it out and hear about the different changes that are coming up and to share some of their, frustrations or needs or individual concerns. So thank you for your time. To everybody who joined us today, this is being recorded and it will be on the Small and Rural Library Forum website. So if you want to take a look at it again, if you want to share it with a friend who was not able to see it, that's where it will be posted sometime tomorrow. So in the meantime, please everybody stay safe and have a lovely afternoon.
Bye, everybody. Stay healthy.